By now you know that objects have properties and behaviors, and our Gogga object has those as well. In Delphi, the properties or characteristics of an object are stored in fields, and the behaviors of an object or the actions are called methods. So far, we have made our Gogga object behave in a specific way by using methods such as move and turn left. Let's start by putting a button as the event handler on our form. I'm going to change the caption of this button to be Run Program, and I'm going to change the name property of this button to be btn run. I think my button is slightly too narrow, so let's widen it a bit. It's always a good thing to save your program early, so let's click on the Save All button. I see we're still in the Make Square directory. Let's go and create a new directory and call this directory Creepy. Press Enter, get into the directory itself, and I'll call my unit creepy_u. Let's make it a capital U, and my project creepy_p for project. Great, so I've saved my project and we can continue. Let's double click on our button to get into our event handler so that we can write the code for this program. I want to create a new Gogga object, so firstly I must make sure that our program makes use of the Gogga library. So scroll up right to the top, and under users we add the word Goggas behind standard controls and before the semicolon. Then we scroll down again to where our button is, and before the begin line press Enter and get an open line there and type the word var for variable, and we want to create a new variable of the type tGogga. Let's call this variable creepy, and the type is tGogga, and then one down, double spaces and enter, and we want to create our object, or we want to instantiate, we want to start, use the object for the first time. And the command you know well is creepy : tGogga.create. In Delphi, the instruction creepy : tGogga.create creates an object of the tGogga class, and we call this object creepy. This create command also gives the Gogga its specific characteristics, such as color and position, and the size of the trail it will leave behind if it starts to move now. This creepy object is created by a constructor method which has exactly the same name as the class, and in our case it is the tGogga constructor and of course the tGogga class. By default, the tGogga object field variable will store the color red, the up direction, and the x and y values that position it roughly in the middle of the screen when this object is created. How can we change those values? The Gogga class has a number of methods that we can use in order to change the field values of, for instance, in this case, the creepy Gogga object. The first property of creepy that I'm going to change is set position. And I'm going to change this so that it starts at position 3 and 1. So this is a method called setPosition that changes the starting position of the tGogga object called creepy, and it changes that starting position to the value 3, 1. You must note that this setPosition method requires two parameters, an x, the 3, and a y position, the 1 in this case. So if I summarize quickly, the properties of creepy, and creepy is a tGogga object, are changed by methods. In this case, setPosition is the name of the method, and this method requires two parameters, the 3 and the 1, as an x and a y coordinate. This whole line, creepy.setPosition 3, 1 is the call statement of that method. When the call statement is executed, then the value of creepy's position changes. Another method to turn the trail that our Gogga object leaves when it moves, on or off, is the trail on and the trail off method. I'm going to choose trail on in this case and finish it off with a semicolon. Creepy.setDirection, and there it is. I don't have to type it all out. set direction is the next one that we're going to do. So this sets for creepy, which is a Gogga object, the initial direction as right. Notice that the directions that are available are Gogga.right, Gogga.left, Gogga.up, and Gogga.down. It's time to make our new Gogga object move. Let's do that a few times. Copy and paste. There we have a few of them. Let's change the color of this Gogga object. Set color, there it is. I don't have to type the rest, and let's call it CL blue. And these colors are determined by Delphi. So you can look at colors and you'll see the different ways in which a color is identified. You have to get the lettering exactly right, or the spelling of this color. It has to be one of the colors that Delphi uses. That's enough for now. Let's save all, saving our program, and run it. Execute. Press F9. Click on our button, and there we see that our Gogga moves. Its trail is red, and suddenly Gogga turns to blue. Let's make it move once or twice after it has turned blue. We have a few moves there, so that's good enough. Save it again and execute our program. And you can see Gogga is red, and it leaves a red trail behind. It changes to blue, but still leaves a red trail behind. Finally, I would like us to look at a few errors. This program works beautifully at the moment. Let's cause an error to take place. For instance, if I look at this line, creepy equals tgogga.create, and I remove the semicolon, if I now try and run my program, it firstly compiles. And in this case, it breaks down on the compilation phase. You will see that this red line highlights the error. And at the bottom here, I have a description of the error. creepy_u.pass30, there is a missing operator or semicolon. So in the previous line, not this line, the previous line, there is a semicolon missing. That's the one we've removed. So this is a syntax error. It's a compilation error. These are the sorts of errors that we get when we've made spelling mistakes. We've written it down incorrectly. So let's fix this by putting the semicolon back there and run my program. And suddenly it runs. I'm not going to look at the Gogga move again. Let's look at a different sort of error. If I remove this second bracket here in the line creepy.setColor, and I try and compile, which will happen first before it runs the program, then we see that this line is highlighted with red, in red, and it complains down here at the bottom. A bracket expected, but a semicolon found. So when your program has syntax errors, in other words compilation errors, then there are clues given to you here at the bottom, and they are relatively easy to fix. In this case, we can go and put the bracket back there, and if we run it again, our program will compile. Let's make a spelling mistake. For instance, let's change the spelling of move to move and compile our program by running it. Our red line appears because there's a syntax error. Something's been written incorrectly. And suddenly it says to us undeclared identifier move. It thinks that move has to be a variable, and it really doesn't know what to do with it. So that's where our error lies. It's easy for us to fix because we know that it should be move with a single O. And if we fix it, our program is fine and it compiles.